Hey everybody, it's Joel from the Board Game Mechanics, and here we go again. Number 180 to 171. We're going to take a look at some games that I really enjoy, and I hope you enjoy this list. So we're going to get right to it. I ended my last list with Revolution from Philip DeBerry. This is another Philip DeBerry game. This one I like just a touch better. It's a card-based version kind of Revolution, where you're trying to use cards and set collection to influence people, not locations necessarily. So I think this game's kind of neat. It doesn't have that blind bidding thing as much in it as present, but it's the same ideas of like influencing people or areas of a board. So it's area control along with like some card play. Really cool game. Like it just a touch better than Revolution myself personally. So this one came out from AEG in their Tempest series, which was like when Love Letter was all the hotness. This one and Dominaire are both really cool games, but this one's number 180. Dominaire, we'll see if it pops up later. I honestly don't remember. So a good game though that like I don't think a lot of people have played. So Courtier, whatever you want to say. It depends on if you're French or not, I guess maybe. I don't know. I think Courtier is probably the way we really should say it, but it seems like it would be Courtier, right? Kind of like Cartier. So anyway, that one, that's the worst part about doing videos is you always want to like itch your head and it looks terrible. So that's that. Number 179, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, Alien, Daybreak, all these games I'm going to kind of lump together. They're really fun games. The app lets you kind of play this game out where it's over the course of one round. You play what feels like kind of a game of werewolf. And there's different roles in there that can kind of be kept track of by the app, which does a great job. And so all these little expansions and different versions of the game make these little kind of quirky things happen. So like there's the Vampire Edition, there's the Alien Edition where people, I think, get abducted and things. It's been a while since I played that one. But this one, you could be a werewolf, or you could be like a seer, or you could be a number of different things, and it keeps people more involved. It plays quickly. There's no player elimination, really, to be honest. So you could play 5 rounds of this in the time it takes to play one game of werewolf, and no one ever gets eliminated from the game. And people stay engaged and have more fun. So number 179, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. 12 Days. Oh, this is a cool game. So this is like one of those like games where it's like you play it with traditional cards sometimes, where you start off with like 1 round of cards and then you go up to 2 rounds of cards, then 3, then 4. And so you're working your way up this ladder and then back down this ladder. And it's like a trick taking thing, but you're also trying to like get majorities of certain cards, like numbers of cards, to score the numbers on those cards. So it's kind of a neat game. It just really does a good job of balancing having those low cards, because low cards, like, I think are powerful in this game, but then the high cards score points. So, and you want to keep cards in your hand. So it's like, what do I do with these? So, it's a pretty neat little trick taking game where I need to really read over the rules in this one. It's been since last Christmas since I played it, but this is kind of my Christmas time game. And it's like, it's kind of neat because you're trying to like do more complicated, involved trick taking, and keep the 12 days of Christmas alive in your heart, I guess. I don't know. It's a cool trick taking game though. And it's got some other things too that are involved with it, with like kind of trying to like you pass cards to people. And so it's like you're trying to like do set collection as well with those cards you're passing. So it's just a neat little game. Kind of hard to describe without playing it, but it's a fun little game for sure. 178, 12 Days. 177 is the Manhattan Project. This one was really high for me at one point. This was like kind of my go-to worker placement game. And I do like worker placement quite a bit, but this one's just kind of become a vanilla-ish game. I mean, when it came out, it had some really cool things about it. Like that whole thing of like you place workers until you want to recall them. And that whole like bomber track and stuff is kind of a gimmick, but it's an additional thing. But it plays as a really clean worker placement game. And the cool thing is that it really is like everyone's phases, it can be different. So if you go to the spot where you get like the generic assistants, you're placing workers a lot longer than other people are. And they're wasting turns recalling people. Whereas if you're recalling people more quickly, then you get like to use them more frequently and you get better benefits. And you can block people out with this kind of like holding out, like push your luck kind of wait to pull your guys back kind of mechanism with worker placement. We've kind of seen that in other games since then, but this was kind of the first one that I ever played that had that. Really cool little game with the theme being developing a nuclear bomb, and it isn't really present. It's not like it's like a war game or anything. It's just kind of like thematic. Like you need to make yellow cake, uranium, and you need to develop, like the ability to deliver the bombs and things like that. So the Manhattan Project, pretty cool little worker placement game. Not bad at all. And there's actually a Manhattan Project game I like a little better than this one, so stay tuned. Mystery Express, this is kind of like Clue on a train. It's a Days of Wonder game, so you know the production value on it's really good. It's that Days of Wonder weight, like family weight game. It's like it takes Clue and makes the game better. And I like this one almost as well as the game that's going to appear a little later. That's Clue-like from Days of Wonder, but they're kind of like similar games. They're deduction games where you're trying to figure out what happened on the Mystery Express. So a cool little game. If you like Clue, you're going to like this one. The other one's coming up in a bit. I don't know if it's in this 10 or not, but I'm not going to say it and I'm not going to compare it to it, but I like that other one just a touch better. Werewords. So I talked about One Night Ultimate Werewolf. This one's like kind of like in the same universe, same art, but this is a word game. So you're playing 20 questions with this person whose role is called the mayor. And the mayor is going to say yes or no to questions that people ask. But there's also werewolves and villagers that are asking questions. So the werewolves don't want you to figure out the word. They don't want you to know the word, and they do know the word. So what happens is they kind of either ask questions that are misleading, or they act like they don't know what's going on and waste time and try and get people to go, wait, I thought you said this was a person that's living. Why are you asking about dead people now? And if you're too obvious about it, though, you get to figure out who the werewolves are. So if it's like, hey, is this a living thing? No. Oh, man. Okay, so is it a duck? Wait, you clearly are trying to do something here. You're a werewolf. You know what I mean? So you have to be kind of subtle about it so you don't out yourself as a werewolf. But at the same time, you're trying to distract people from really figuring out that word, which isn't hard to do if you don't distract them. So it's like 20 questions with like a deception kind of thing going on with it. Pretty fun game. 175 Werewords. The thing about this one that is you have to have at least 4 players, and it's better at 8. So a good party game. Linko. This game's one that I don't think people play a lot, really, to be honest. I love this game a lot. It's like you're putting cards into your discard pile, but then people are like making you pull cards out of discard piles, and it's like a kind of cool little card game from Kramer and Kiesling, and it's called a Blocksen in German, which is kind of fun. It's just a cool little game where you're getting sets of cards and putting them into your discard pile, but then don't discard that yet, or don't think that it can't happen, because if it's on the top of your discard pile, like things can happen with it where people can take those cards and use them, and so you have to be careful with what you're discarding exactly. So a card shedding kind of game, Linko, with a cool discarded cards mechanism. And I don't know exactly. I think that like the word for fox in German means like link or something. So like it's a clever pun in German, but this game never really picked up too much in the United States. This is a good one. Every time I get out and play it, I'm like, oh man, that game's really good. I want to play it more. And I just don't think of it as often as I should probably. So that's that. Splendor. This game is 173 because other games do engine building better than it now. And it was a really good, simple engine builder in its day. I still have it in my collection. The only thing I don't like about it is storing it. If you put this game on its side, you're going to have a bad time, because then you open up the game and go, oh, look, that's a pile of components. I like this game quite a bit. It's a good engine builder, a very simple engine builder, a good introduction to engine building, but there's better engine builders out there now for sure. This one's worth having around though, to have as a real simple game or a change of pace game for engine building. It was much higher at one point because other games have come out since then that have made me go, this is better than Splendor, you know? So still a cool game. It has these cool thick plastic poker chips that you play with instead of cards, which help improve the game too. Like if you had cards that you were collecting instead of these cool poker chips that you manipulate, I think the game would be less fun. So I think this one's by Marc Andre, who makes other games that might appear on this list. So anyway, good game overall. And I mean, anything in the top 200 is something that I'm going to hang onto my collection for the most part. So it's still a good game, just the other things I'd rather play. That's why it's not in the top 100. So in Skull, you've got a set of coasters. And your set of coasters basically has on the backside of it either a skull or a rose. And you're putting them down, that side face down. And then on your turn, you either can put another coaster down, or you can say, I think I can find this many roses without finding a skull. Like a skull's like a whammy kind of. And you have to flip your own cards over too first if you win the bid. So if you don't want to bid, you put another coaster down. So the trick is this. You have to go from top to bottom and flip all of yours over first. So if you're going to bid, it's probably a good idea not to have any skulls in there. But sometimes you bid with skulls in there, hoping that someone else takes the bid and thinks you were confident enough about your bid that you don't have any skulls in your pile, but then you have a trap set there, you know? So it's a cool bidding kind of deception game. You kind of have to play it to really understand it. I've laughed more at this game probably than any other game. Like, it's just a really fun, funny time. Skull hanging around my collection. It's just whenever it gets played, people enjoy it. They like ask, what's that game called? Like, what? Like, why don't I know about it? Because it's not as popular as it should be. So 172 Skull, really like it. Flashpoint Fire Rescue is number 171. This game got put back onto the list because of the Tragic Events expansion. So they get rid of those little hot spots, which were the worst. Like, you forget to do them, and then like you forget they're on the board. These little tiny fiddly bits, and now they're gone. So that's awesome. We got rid of hotspots with this new Tragic Events expansion. But then these events are awesome too. So like, you flip an event card and you're like, oh man, that just changed the game in a really positive way. Or more likely, oh man, that just changed the game in a way that's going to make this game way more challenging. So the Tragic Events expansion, I won't play this game without. And because of that, it's back in the top 200. I don't think this would be in the top 200 without that Tragic Events expansion. It's really good. So Flashpoint Fire Rescue, if you like cooperative games, I would say try and find a copy of this with the Tragic Events expansion and play it because it's pretty fun. So that's been it for me for this week.